Howdy, this is Magnus Böner. If you like beer, food, travel, and the outdoors, smack that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of my epic videos. In this video, we're gonna make a frickin' Böner CheeseSteak. Oh yeah! And we're getting started right now.
Gross.
Well, this is the Böner CheeseSteak video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite steak sandwiches called a Böner CheeseSteak. And when we make this sandwich, just like when I made my Ribeye burger, I needed this special spatula for that. I need a special spatula for this sandwich. I've got this big food service type spatula, and I'm gonna need this for when I scoop the sandwich out of the pan. If you need one of these, there is a link down here in the description box, and you click that link and buy one of these. It helps support this video. Alright, well, let's prep some ingredients and get going. Before I actually start the process of cooking the sandwiches, I like to pre-prepare all of my ingredients. I like to dice the onions, I like to slice the steak into small slices, and I like to slice my cheese. So it's all ready to go. When you've got a wedge-shaped block of cheese, just set it on its side like this and slice accordingly. When you get all done, the side on the cutting board will just be another slice of cheese. One of the key things when you're making a cheese steak sandwich is the fat that you use to saute your onions and cook your steak. We've got some bone-in beef ribeye, and we're going to trim the fat off of it, and then we're going to use that fat and we're going to render it down, and we'll save some of it aside, and that's what we're going to saute our onions and we're going to cook our steak in. While I was doing my research on Philly cheesesteaks, I discovered an important detail. You want to cut up the meat into very small pieces, so when you take a bite of the sandwich, you get meat and it doesn't just string out of the sandwich. You get meat in your bite, and that's important. You need small pieces of meat.
My buddy Magnus likes to make YouTube videos, and he gives me his camera, and I do stuff with it. He has no idea what I do with it. Sometimes I don't tell him. Sometimes his camera goes places it shouldn't.
Stop it, fucker. When you're cutting up this meat, sometimes you want to cut it across the grain. That's important so that when you bite into it, it breaks apart. So I've got this on its side, this strip, and I'm just going to slowly start cutting it like this. And I'll pull it open as I'm cutting it. Just like this. Now, I don't know what it is, but there's just something about this. It just looks really tasty to me.
The first thing we're going to do is render the fat.
We are rendering fat like champions now, partner. Look at all that yummy fat, Josh. Just look at it. Just look at it. Look at it. So I just buy these baguettes from the grocery store and use that for the roll. Some people say that's not traditional. It's not, but I like to chew on my bread. I'm going to slice this most of the way through. Right there. I'm going to get this bread warm on these hot rocks. So this beef fat's just about as rendered as it's going to get. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the crispy bits out. Taste it before, we don't need to use all of that fat, so I'm going to pull some aside.
That's good. That's real good.
Alright, while I had the camera off and thought I had it on, what I did is I separated out this beef fat here, and I got the liquid that's rendered out in this little pot. I took it off the heat because we were really hot. I've added my onions, and then all of these seasonings we're adding are fat soluble. So what we've got is we've got the Italian blend seasoning. We've got garlic powder. I should have fresh garlic, but for some reason I don't, and I deserve to be belittled because I don't, but we use this. We just added a bunch of fresh ground black pepper, and we're going to add some salt because that's going to help this reduce down and get that moisture out. Since we have such nice steak, that nice ribeye, we don't want to add too much seasoning and get in the way of that lovely flavor. Before I remove the bones and fat, I had almost 2 pounds of beef ribeye. I've got all these onions. I'm at a big 3-finger pinch of salt. I love salt. It's probably my favorite food group. One of the Magnus Böner twists on the old Böner CheeseSteak is this right here. That's right, I'm talking about Mama Lil's peppers. I'm going to add some of these Mama Lil's peppers, these sauteed onions. It's going to add a lovely spicy, tangy note. Now we're just going to stir those in. Back in 2012, I visited the East Coast. We flew in and out of Philadelphia. When I was there, I knew I had to have a Philly cheesesteak. So we stopped at a little diner, and I had a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. I remember absolutely nothing of that experience. But recently, I've been researching Philly cheesesteak sandwiches intensively. Mostly by eating them and making them and eating them at home. In the process of doing that, I've had some amazing sandwiches. And the best Philly cheesesteak I have had in the Seattle area comes from a food truck called Cheesesteak Madness. It's a very traditional Philly cheesesteak. The first one I got there, I wanted to be as traditional as possible, so I got it Whiz Wit. What that means, when I say whiz, that's kind of cheese. I wanted cheese whiz, and wit, that's Philadelphia speak for wit onions. So I got it wit onions. And that was a lovely sandwich. I've had a few others, they've all been great, and that inspired the Böner CheeseSteak. I use a baguette instead of the traditional Philly roll because it's easy to get the baguette and I like to chew on my bread. I use Mama Lil's peppers. I use Gouda cheese because it's lovely, and I always use beef ribeye steak. And I saute it in that beef fat. I do not use Cheese Whiz when I make cheesesteaks because I'm philosophically against processed cheese food products. Provolone is traditional. Philly cheesesteak started being made originally back in the 1930s. Cheese Whiz did not come to be until the 1960s when Kraft started making it. But these days, Cheese Whiz and the Philly cheesesteak has become synonymous. Often folks also get white American, provolone. I like to use Gouda. Pepper jack's a good option too. I'll tell you, these onions are all sorts of sauteed and lovely, and those peppers have gotten happy. So I'm just going to pull everything aside. Luckily, this pan's not quite level, so my fat's going to run out all that yummy goodness, and I'll be able to saute my steak in it. Pull those off the side like that. Now it's time to add that steak. Now we're just going to saute that steak and all that lovely beef fat. Now that beef is almost completely cooked, we're going to mix in the onions and peppers. Now that's just about ready, I'm going to divide it up for each sandwich. We got 3 piles of meat. Now we're going to add this lovely Gouda. We'll put this lid on so it melts. That center one's ready to plate. I got the roll, and I'm just gonna put it right over like that, and I'm gonna squish it up. Then I'm gonna take my spatula underneath it like that. And that is a cheese steak sandwich if I've ever seen one. Put it in the foil like that. Give it a little wrap so it doesn't fall all apart. Now we're gonna get another sandwich ready to go. So we got it in a nice line like that. We got our nice warm roll. Once again, right over the top. Scoop underneath. Oh yes. Boom. Look at that amazing cheesy goodness. I am really excited to be eating this. There's a nice spicy vinegar note from those Mama Lil's peppers. There's a bunch of gooiness from that cheese, that oil with those Italian herbs, salt, the pepper. That's really nice. Now that is a Magnus Böner sandwich, if I have ever seen one. Seriously, you're going to want to make yourself a Böner cheesesteak. This thing's amazing. You don't have to do it over a campfire like an idiot like I did. You can do it at home over your stovetop and it'll be a lot easier. Get yourself that special spatula and you make it happen. If you liked this video, hit the subscribe button. Find me on Facebook, I'm Magnus Böner. I'm also on Twitter, I'm Magnus Böner. I'm at Boner Magnus on Twitter, and I'm on the Instagram, I'm Magnus Böner. We will be bringing you another epic video real soon.